RHONJ, Dolores Catania ready to kick this drug? RHONJ star, Dolores Catania has confessed that she is ready to kick this particular drug. This comes on the heels of Dolores allegedly being asked back for season 15, amid a speculated reboot. So, what is Dolores up to personally that is causing her to make some major lifestyle changes? Keep reading for more details. Dolores Catania ready to kick this drug. Since season 7 of RHONJ, Dolores Catania has been a staple of the hit Bravo reality series. Some fans have struggled with her allegiance to OG Teresa Giudice and how hard she rides for her. There is also the issue of her being very Switzerland and playing both sides of the field. Dolores can be friends with everyone, but also vicious at the same time. One never knows where she is coming from and where her loyalty stands, which can be off-putting. At the end of season 14, she arranged a dinner for all of the ladies which ended in disaster, and they could not even have a reunion. However, she has been quite happy in her personal life. Dolores has been dating her boyfriend, Paulie Connell, but he had yet to finalize his divorce, despite claiming he wanted to make her his wife. Fortunately, he just legally ended his marriage so they can move forward. At the same time, Dolores and her man embarked on a weight loss journey and used the weight loss drug Ozempic. He dropped 60 pounds and she lost 20, with her being very open and honest. According to people, it drastically changed their lives. As for Dolores, she had to defend her decision to jump on the Ozempic bandwagon. The drug is typically used to treat diabetes, but she maintains she had other health issues. However, the mother of two feels that the time is right for her to kick her old habit, or at the very least, drop her dosage down. Why stop now? According to the Trader Star, she does not have to get off of Ozempic if she is not ready or does not want to. Dolores Catania explained that the doctors have stated there's nothing wrong with her staying on it if she chooses to do so. However, she cannot express how vital it is that anyone who is considering using a weight loss drug must go to a certified doctor. There is a lot of research that needs to be done, and it is the only way for it to be done correctly. She is also an advocate of not judging anyone for using Ozempic. This is a decision made between them and their doctor who knows them best. Time will tell if she will ultimately decide to kick it or keep it. Dolores Catania had been through a lot in her life. From raising 2 kids, dealing with a divorce, running businesses, and staying loyal to friends who sometimes didn't deserve it. She had done it all. But this was a different kind of battle. This wasn't about flipping tables or screaming in a parking lot. No, this was about breaking free from something that had had its grip on her for far too long. Dolores was ready to kick this drug. The drug wasn't something you could find in a bottle or on the street. It wasn't something prescribed by a doctor. No, this was far more insidious. It was an addiction that had built up over years, creeping in like a bad habit she couldn't quit. The drug, Frank Catania. For years, people had asked Dolores the same thing over and over. Are you and Frank ever getting back together? It didn't matter how many times she said no. It didn't matter how many relationships she entered. People just couldn't let it go. And in all honesty, neither could she. Frank had been a presence in her life for so long that even when they weren't together, he was still there, fixing things in her house, showing up for their kids, making her laugh in a way no one else could. But that wasn't love. At least, not the kind of love she needed anymore. For years, she had told herself that Frank was a security blanket, a reliable force in her life that she didn't want to lose. But wasn't that what addiction was? Relying on something that felt good in the moment, but ultimately held you back. And lately, she had started to see the truth. She was stuck in a loop, unable to fully commit to something new, because Frank was always in the background, always pulling her back in. But now things were different. She had Polly. Polly Connell had been everything she needed in a partner: strong, stable, independent. He wasn't just a placeholder or a distraction. He was a man who showed up, who wanted to be with her in a real way. And for the first time, Dolores found herself wanting to truly move forward, to let go of the past and embrace something new. But that couldn't happen if she kept letting Frank play such a big role in her life. She had told Frank this before, but it had never really stuck. He would nod, say he understood, and then show up at her house the next day to fix a leaky pipe or take her dog for a walk. And she let him. She let him because it was easy, because it was familiar, because deep down, she was scared of what life would look like without Frank as a crutch. But not anymore. Dolores had spent years putting other people first. Her kids, her friends, even Frank. It was time to choose herself. Sitting across from Frank at their usual lunch spot, she took a deep breath and looked him in the eye. He had that same smirk he always did, the one that made it seem like he didn't take anything too seriously. But this was serious. "Frank," she said, setting down her fork, "we need to talk." "Oh," he said, raising an eyebrow. "That's never good." She smiled, but only for a second. "I mean it. We need to change things. I need to change things." He leaned back in his chair, watching her. "Okay, what's on your mind?" "You've been in my life for so long that I don't think I even know what life looks like without you constantly being in it," she admitted. "And that's not fair to me. It's not fair to Polly. And honestly, it's not fair to you either." Frank frowned. "Dolo, I thought we had this figured out. We're friends. We're family. That's never gonna change." "I know," she said, "and I don't want it to. But I need to create some space. I need to really move forward with Polly. And I can't do that if you're still acting like my right-hand man." He was quiet for a moment, his usual easygoing demeanor shifting into something more serious. "So what are you saying? You don't want me in your life anymore." "That's not what I'm saying at all," she reassured him. "I just need to put some boundaries in place. You can't be at my house all the time. You can't be the person I call when something goes wrong. That's not your job anymore." Frank exhaled, rubbing his hands together. "So you're finally kicking me to the curb, huh?" She laughed, shaking her head. "No, Frank, I'm just taking control of my life. I love you, but I'm not in love with you. And it's time for both of us to really accept that." For the first time, Frank looked like he actually understood what she was saying. And maybe, just maybe, he respected her even more for it. "All right, Dolo," he said, nodding. "I hear you. And if this is what you need, then I'll respect that." It was a moment of real growth, something she wasn't sure they'd ever get to. And as she walked away from that conversation, she felt lighter, like she had finally broken free from something that had been holding her back for far too long. Dolores Catania was ready to kick this drug. And for the first time in a long time, she felt like she was truly moving forward.